What are principles and where do they come from?
Well, principles are values that help you decide what to aim at in life. They're broad principles that help you decide what to aim at in life. So a principle might be to treat other people properly, like you'd like them to treat you, and perhaps another principle might be to tell the truth.
And where do we get our principles from?
Well, people have derived principles, I think, from interacting socially over very long periods of time. So imagine that there's only certain ways that human beings can treat one another that work well and stably for many, many people over long periods of time. And we've discovered the general principles that people have to use to conduct themselves by observing how we interact with one another and then making rules out of them.
Are there people who don't have principles?
Well, you can usually trust people that have principles because you can predict what they're going to do and they do what they say they're going to do. So that means engaging with them in trade and in common everyday interactions is a lot easier. You know that they're going to keep track of the good things that you've done for them, and they're going to reciprocate, and they're going to pay their debts, and they're going to do what they say they do. And that makes interacting with them much, much simpler. You don't have to watch your back all the time when you're dealing with principled people.
Right. And so there are people who lack principles and they don't pay you your money back when they borrow money, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and they don't keep their promises and they don't do what they say they're going to do. And so that makes interacting with them very, very complicated. It's hard to cooperate with them.
And should you call them out when they don't have principles? Should you say to them, you lack principles, so I'm not going to deal with you?
Well, if you don't do that, then they tend not to learn. I mean, a lot of the reason that people keep their behavior in check and behave properly is because other people react negatively when they don't. And we're always modifying each other's behavior and reminding each other how to act properly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you have an obligation, I would say, to call people out when they don't act properly. Otherwise, you get taken advantage of.
Do our principles come from God or our parents or our environment or all above?
Well, I would say perhaps all above. It's a deeply rooted belief in human beings that there is some kind of higher power that helps regulate our lives. If you think about it more practically, then we're all playing a game with each other. That might be one way of thinking about it. We play different games with one another, and the games have to have rules or we can't predict each other's behavior. And of course, when you're interacting with your parents, there has to be a reciprocal agreement, because otherwise the parents and the child can't get along and there's fighting.
Yeah.
And so a family can reach a kind of stable agreement about how everyone's going to act, and then everyone can predict it and be relatively happy within that. So, and that's better for everyone.
So an atheist would not have principles from God, right?
That's right. Atheists believe that you can derive principles just from human interactions.
Yeah. Do you believe in God?
Yes, I do.